All right, there we go. So today is September 7th. So this is the September 7th, 2017 SIG Scalability meeting, public recording. And let's see here. I was out last week, so I'm a little behind on what's going on. Were there specific topics folks wanted to work on today, discuss today?
I saw Shyam submitted like a ton of issues.
Yeah, there were a bunch of regressions that he spotted. Some of them were, at least some of them were like configuration issues, like the fact that like large cube marks were failing was because like it was misconfigured. It's still like we still see some problems in real clusters, and this is still like not debugged. So like Shyam is looking into it now. I think he should be here, so he may want.
I think I see him there with someone else. Is that?
Hey. Yeah. So we fixed this QMark issue thanks to Wojtek. He pointed out this problem with master size, but we're yet. So for the correctness tests, I filed like 7 or 8 issues already for the failing ones, and like actually quite a lot of them actually got fixed, or at least people sent fixes for 4 of them, and people responded for at least 2 others. And we're having issues, a couple of regressions. I think there are at least 2 regressions with our real cluster performance tests on 5,000 nodes. And one of them is most likely something around recent kubelet changes to their Docker config or the container regime, and which is basically, it is like rocketed the pod startup latencies to 16 seconds or something like that. And it was this, I'm looking into this, and there is another issue with API call latencies. So the API call latencies starting from about a week back increased like thrice, and which also is probably some regression. And yeah, I'm looking into it. It should hopefully get fixed by the end of this week. Yep. And that's pretty much it. And on a side note, like I recently added a pre-submit for KubeMark 500. So if you guys ever come across any PR you think can potentially break scalability or affect in any way, or if you just want to experiment, you could just run the KubeMark 500 against the PR.
Yeah, to clarify, this is not like enabled by default. It's like it has to be manually.
Yeah, it has to be manually kicked because we can't afford KubeMark 500 against. I mean, it would be costly to run it against each PR.
Do you have can you explain that for a second? Are you planning to do like a label to do like, we did like a run 10 label to detect flakes, right? Which people don't really use properly or haven't used. Are you planning to use like a labeling system to enqueue and then, evaluate whether or not it's worthy of a 500 node kick?
Well, I think, I mean, for now, the plan was to just basically whoever is reviewing should likely identify that scalability, the PR could have scalability impact, and just manually run it against the PR. There is no automatically kicking it based on labels, but that sounds like a good idea. We can probably trigger it based on.
Yeah, I think you probably want to do a batch, right? Like you'd want to batch them up at the end of the week or something like that, where you'd have one label that says KubeMark 500 or some scale test label or whatever you want to call it. I don't care. but then it could batch them all up and then run them as part of your periodic runs, right? So that way it's exercised before it actually gets merged, because usually what happens is it gets merged, then that window of when the kubemark 500 tests run, and then you have all this other crap involved versus like having the results for just that one thing, right?
I see.
Yeah, though the kubemark 500 is like takes 1 hour or something, so like this window is pretty small. It's like way bigger for larger kubemark. This 5,000 node, which is like 15 hours or something like that.
But you were concerned about the cost and not running it over and over and over again for, or were you?
I mean, more than cost, I think we definitely can afford it for PRs we really think need running it. But I mean, the issue is if many PRs are running it at once, we might end up using a lot of quota, which is...
I was thinking of just batching all the jobs that need it, right? And then just running those in a cycle. Because then it would take your 500 node run to be whatever hours to be hours plus X, right?
Yeah, that's actually a good idea. We probably can add kubemark 500 to the secondary tests before just merging, like during the batch merges, but not actually run it for as like in the first cycle, but run it as part of the batch before submitting. Yes, I will discuss this with test infra folks. They probably should know more about it.
Thanks for the update. I have one topic, just a very short update, but I thought I would. Any other topics for today?
I have a question for Wojtek. You guys are deploying. You guys are managing such large single node master clusters, which seems crazy to me. But has there been push on your side, or is there still a push to deploy HA configurations?
We will be deploying it, yes. Like it won't be
Are
default.
or will be?
We are not.
Okay.
We will be.
Okay.
Like it won't be default, but it will be possible if someone wants to do it.
This was actually similar in topic to my update. Aaron and I met with the ECS folks yesterday, and they were telling us that they're going to step up to provide some account budget to run tests on AWS, and we were kind of revisiting the provider config stuff. You know, this is the 5-node HA master cluster, and was really lobbying them hard for getting into testing around that configuration, and they seemed to be saying they were going to do it. I'm not sure about the timing on that, but they're definitely ramping up. So Tim, I think we can look forward to also getting some help from the AWS folks on this front going forward.
Does anyone know if they're planning to attend some SIGs to feedback signal at all, or are they gonna?
I've seen them in and out of SIGs. They've shown up here occasionally, just not regularly. So since our meeting was just yesterday, maybe they haven't quite got they haven't quite gotten organized around that yet. But I'm going to keep lobbying them for it. So anyway, that was my only update. If there's no other topics for today, we can call it a wrap. Anyone? Anyone? All right, I think we're done for today. See at least some of you at the community meeting.
Thanks. See you.